Live from the BoD studio, it is Playin and Slayin, episode 82. See, no yawn that time, Troy. That's what we call a good take. All right, this episode. I think last time were we without Josh? Or no, that was two ago.
Two ago.
I'm going to keep apologizing for not saying Josh's name during episode 80 when we talked about community, because he is such a stalwart part of this community, and it would be a disservice to his legacy to not mention him and talk about him.
Josh, right?
So
That's
Josh,
glad
about,
you're right.
Yes, yeah, Josh.
Okay. Josh, okay.
Hey,
Josh.
Hey guys.
Hey,
I'm here.
Beyond making fun of Josh in episode 82, we're going to talk through Troy's trip to Gen Con, some gaming we've been doing, and then we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about conventions, just kind of general, why we go, what's cool about them, what our favorite ones are, and get into it. So we've talked a lot about conventions in the past, but we'll take a little bit of time on the heels of Gen Con. Right before Strong Tower Con and others in the fall, to talk about the wonderful thing that is a gaming convention. But before all of that, when you're playing and slaying, it is important to stay hydrated. So I need to know, Josh, what kind of liquid death are you drinking tonight?
Ooh, I almost didn't do a liquid death just because it was predictable, but yeah, I went with the Dead Billionaire,
All right.
The classic. I hadn't had one in a while. I've been switching it up. So
where's your mug?
I need to order one, I guess. Oh, Troy's got one too.
All right. Well, Troy, I'm glad that you also have abandoned. Okay, thank God. That might be a beer.
No, I went for the White Claw vodka and soda.
Nice.
I ate way too much for dinner, and I just couldn't. I'm like, I needed something a little lighter. I couldn't face a beer after too much. I took Sarah to Culver's, and I got some fries there, and then I came home and I made myself some vegan burgers.
Custard.
No, I did not have ice cream. But Culver's does the lemon ice slushy things, which are vegan because they're just juice and water. And I always get them, and then I'm like, this is too sweet and too much. But it is good. But I regret every time I finish it. I regret it. But I'm like, they're good. They go out of season. Like when the summer ends, they stop serving them, so it saves me because it's like every month I get one and I have it and I regret it, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. And then it's right there staring at me, and I know it's going to go away, and I got to get it. So
my youngest.
That was what. So yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just saying my youngest really likes those too. Yeah. She's a child, so
yeah. It is. You're like mainline and sugar. I swear, you're mainline and sugar.
You guys could be hardcore like me and just drink Windex.
Nice.
And you need to clean the soul.
Yeah.
But no, Tito's club soda and a spritz or two of the Mio Blue Raspberry Energy, because I need a little pick me up on a Wednesday to not fall asleep while recording with you guys, because it's one of those weeks where I kind of just want to go to bed.
I hear that.
But yeah, tastes really good out of the Holy Havoc glass too.
Nice.
So yes, not a cleaning product. You don't have to call anyone and check in on me. Doing fine. It's Tito's and club soda.
For more shows like this, check out the Goonhammer Media Network. More info at media.goonhammer.com.
All right, let's get into the banter. Starting with, what are we playing? I'm going to start because I feel like starting. So we used to play a game called Mage, my brother and I, with Paul and Jen and our friend Ben. The last couple months, we've tried to get back into it a little bit. So we no longer really like track any experience or add any skills. We just get together to tell the story and sometimes roll the dice to see how things work out. But got together and played a few weeks back, checked in on how the mages are doing in Milwaukee and other places. New storyline. Hopefully it's something we'll do, maybe it's monthly now, just to keep I think I think it helps Paul keep the creative juices flowing a little bit for some of the design stuff and writing he's doing. It helps Tom and I not completely lose touch with what's a really wonderful game. But we got together and got back to Dark Milwaukee to check in on our cabal there. Then Troy, you and I had a game night where we got together when John and Josh were occupied with other stuff and played Skyrise. So I think I talked about Skyrise on the heels of BodCon, but I brought that over and we did a quick 2-player Skyrise, and then we busted out Expeditions. So the Scythe themed game where you're the mechs exploring, and that was a lot of fun. 2 players. It played pretty quick. I think we got both played in like under 3 hours total for both games. So
Nice.
it's kind of like hour and a half per game. And I think we talked about both kind of in some ways during BodCon, so I won't talk too much about either one. But I am interested in your opinion on Skyrise.
Oh yeah, we'll go to Skyrise. Yeah, I like Skyrise. I could see, and as you talked me through it, and we played again, simple, pretty simple. It's one of those games again that everybody kind of loves, right? Simple mechanics, kind of easy to learn, but when you get into it, you're like, oh, there's a lot of really cool strategy here. There's a lot of cool different ways to go, and definitely, I like the length too, right? It doesn't like you go through it, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. And visuals are really cool, right? I think the stacking, and there's some really cool physical stuff. So yeah, I definitely played again, and just because there's that puzzle, right? There's a puzzle aspect to it around how can I solve, you know, and you're playing against somebody else who's also trying to solve the puzzle in their favor, and you're trying to solve it in your favor, and kind of maneuver people into situations that are beneficial for you, or at least beneficial for both of you in some ways, but usually it's one or the other on some of that. So yeah, enjoyed Skyworks. That was a really nice refresher. I can see why you guys like that coming out of BodCon.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna loop back on what our I think impressions of Expeditions were, right? Because I think we didn't really that was like our full game running it through to see it. And it was again interesting. Like there isn't a lot of player interaction, a little bit just because there is some worker placement, but not
I mean more
too much. Yeah, I mean,
like you occupy a tile and somebody else can't go there, but like it's more of a race than it is of any direct like interaction. Like you're trying to get your 4 kind of glory achievements or whatever they call them done to get more points before your opponent can rack up, an equivalent number. So
yeah, and there's good. I think unlike Skyrise, right? It takes you a while to really kind of get your head wrapped around all the mechanics and the different pieces.
Oh yeah.
Once you do, each of your turns is pretty boom, 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 because you don't have that. You are pretty much only doing 2 things, right, or 3 things out of the list. But the trick is you have to understand this list of about 24 different things and interactions that are all that you're kind of trying to work to get this race to the victory points. So the trick is to get your head wrapped around that, and then once you do that, then the game can kind of roll. But that there is a little bit of a learning curve to kind of get in there, watch a few, even like watching videos. I don't know. Again, it gives you a little bit, but I feel like until you get in there and kind of get through that first half of a game, right, that you're not going to kind of get your head wrapped around it. And even then, that first game problem is because it's going to take you half the game to get it. Whatever, you're not gonna. You're then going to want to re-rack, play that second game, and then that's going to be when you can probably get your first real impression of the game, it feels like.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's good. It made me think at a few times that there are some very like Stegmeier's mark is all over it from a design standpoint in the game. I also some of the cards. And I don't know if you saw the video I shared about the 40 plus gamers and like looking at the cards, like it's very hard to tell some of the symbols and the text on some of it, because like it's just kind of small. I almost wanted like a slightly bigger card or text to really, because at a glance when you're trying to make your choices given what cards are face up or what you have available, it's just not super easy to always tell.
12-point fonts getting a little too small for you, huh, guys?
Yeah. I needed like my readers up my Chronicle board gaming read just to look cool, so I can be like the Monopoly guy. So yeah, Skyrise and Expeditions, and then so my dad visited, so we got together with my brother and his girlfriend, and we played Zombicide, Undead or Alive. Always fun. We died when Tom shot into a group and missed and killed one of the other characters. Even when told you've got to roll 2 4-ups, he's like, I can do it. He did not. And we lost, but got to get the Playin and Slayin Express out, did one of the train missions, and all the painted zombies was pretty cool to get out on the board. And then that night with some bourbon, Tom and I landed a plane. We played Sky Team because he had seen it played and he was like, oh, it looks cool. So we played it together and flawlessly like we landed perfect. It was just the starting airport, didn't do anything crazy. But we had some bourbon and we imagined the pilots up there drinking, landing the plane, and made it happen. And then the next night, Josh came to hang out, and we played a new game from Matt Leacock called Daybreak. It is a cooperative, I would say pandemic-esque, where you're trying to stop something terrible from happening. But what you're trying to stop from happening is the climate, the Earth being destroyed. It's all about climate and reducing carbon emissions and kind of what's really cool about Daybreak, and I'll let Josh share his thoughts too, is the game is all about sustainability. There is no plastic. Everything is cardboard, recyclable cardboard, wood components. All of the cards have QR codes for like the additional rules, where usually you'd have like a second index book or like a second rule book. You can scan the QR code to see the details, and it's based on like real science and how you clean up like environmental damage. But it is so incredibly difficult. Like, I don't think I have played a more difficult and not complex. Like, it once you get through what's happening, it's very clean and efficient. Like, Leacock did an amazing job, but it is so damn hard. Like, we were overwhelmed like early, and granted, we made some tactical mistakes, but I just, even if you execute flawlessly, like it feels like just an incredible. And I think part of it is because the climate crisis and where we're at, like it's meant to feel
right.
like, hey, you've got to wake up and do something about this. But Josh, I mean, you played.
I mean, like you said, you have to like execute flawlessly, and it seems like you have to execute flawlessly each turn. Like everybody has to maximize
and help
what
each
they're
other.
doing. And help each
If
other.
you don't help a weak player or somebody who's behind, like you all lose together, and that's the idea, right, of a cooperative game.
I kept trying to plant trees because like that would offset some like carbon emissions and things like that, and like things would happen and like 4 trees would go down, and I would plant like 1 or 2 a turn, and then like all of a sudden we lose 4. It's like, so you're constant, like it just ramps so quickly. Like like the first couple turns we didn't really maximize things the right way, and it just escalated, and there was no coming back. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you don't always know, but just like in pen, when you draw the epidemic cards and then it just blows up in your face, and like there's this crisis card play where you draw like 3 or 4, one is face up, the others are hidden. You can take actions to try to see them so you know what to prepare for, but then it just multiplies, and before you know it, you've got like 6 crisis cards. All of the trees are there's deforestation everywhere. The ice caps are melting, and there's like solar flares, and you're like, we are
it's crazy. It's crazy.
I think it's an incredible game though. Like I really, the more I looked at it, the more I thought about it, I really, really Like, what a golden age of board game design we're
Yeah.
in. Like, these games keep coming and people keep innovating and keep doing things with mechanics and theme. Like, to think that we get a game like this 10 years after, I think 10 years roughly after pandemic.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, it's pretty cool. So definitely, Troy, we gotta, maybe I'll bring that
Yep.
over Friday and we'll try to get Arcs and Daybreak played.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you said earlier, like the sustainability of the game too is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's the theme, but also they that's how they produced it too, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought that was really neat. So
Like, no plastic wrap around the board. There were stickers that like sealed the box shut, like, but easy to remove. So, you know, the adhesive wasn't like some kind of toxic industrial strength thing. Yeah, just really, really solid. All the trays, the component trays are little like cardboard takeout trays like you would get from a restaurant, you know, to bring your food home in. So yeah, definitely worth a play. Highly recommend Daybreak. And I think it came out maybe a little before Gen Con, but I think it's a really new title. I don't know exactly on the release, but I think relatively recently is when it hit retail. And that's me. That's what I played since last time. Games.
sweet. I have been playing. My youngest and I have been waking up around the same time in the morning, and I usually have about an hour before I need to get to work. And so we'll quick have breakfast, and then she'll be like, "All right, what game are we playing today?" So like we've been doing like breakfast board games every day.
Yeah.
So we've been playing a lot of Zero. She's been really into flying dragons around. So and I'm like, that's cool. You know, I can play Zero. We play Battleship, Sushi Go, Guess Who, Dogman, Attack of the Fleas, Uno. Like every day, like she's grabbing a new game. So I'm like, this is awesome. Like all my older two never really cared about board games, and Aubrey's like so into it, and she's 7, so like we're kind of pushing the limits on some of these games of what she can really comprehend, right? But I'm excited as she gets a little older and figures out strategy and stuff that we can dive into some tougher stuff.
I can't wait, Josh, until over a bowl of Cheerios, you and her play Twilight Struggle. Like relive the Cold War and a
Right?
heads up DEFCON 5 head-to-head Russia versus the US over breakfast.
That'd be good.
So how is the Dogman game? Is that the new one or semi-new one, or is there another? Because I saw one at Gen Con.
I don't know how new this one is. I think we bought this a few years ago. This is the one where you're trying to kill the Robo Brontosaurus guy, and so he moves along a track, and you're trying to like jump to him and like zap him, but you have to like find the ray gun before you can zap him, and it's like a one-time use token. So yeah, I mean you're basically like going around trying to find the ray gun and trying to find other things that like either stop him or move him backwards, and then you have to zap him 3 times and then get back to home base. So it's a little bit of strategy. It's kind of like teaching kids like a little bit of placement and like following 2 different tracks, right? You're following your track and then the Brontosaurus's track, right? And so it's kind of adding a little complexity to just a normal board game.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a little this is the one I was looking at a picture, that we saw at Gen Con, that some booth had it out, and
Okay.
again, because Sarah's interested, but it was like, it's a little young for you, right? It is kind of that, like probably you want to ate it right. Under 8 probably is the right age, and
For
even
sure.
8 might be pushing it.
Yep.
So perfect for Aubrey. So
yes, exactly.
Cool. I will jump into Gen Con. That's the last time I played games besides with Ty, and we touched on all that. I don't think I've played otherwise. I don't think I played with John. So Gen Con this year was a lot different. Well, I'll touch on that a little bit later. So it was me and my 11-year-old daughter. So I kind of went through and found a bunch of like, what events can I find that we both can do? around that. And so the the well the first thing we got down there Thursday, and then we did some stuff I'll touch on later and other, I think. But first board game we played was this on Lucas Oil Field, because you got to play on Lucas Oil Field. There's just something about going into the stadium and going down, which is a pretty cool experience. Was this kind of Pokemon D&D smash up. So basically it was just literally like an arena. You basically had Pokemon characters and they had a sheet. Maybe I'll flash up the sheet. Basically 2-page rules, and you're just basically like kind of simple die rolls, kind of like dice rolls, because you're just attacking. Each of the Pokemon had kind of different attacks, and you had so many hit points. And it was basically, and then once you died, you kind of, whoever killed them collected the sheet, and it was just whoever kind of killed the most people over the hour and a half or so that we played with that. But again, it was Pokemon, and so you picked your Pokemon, and I had no idea. Sarah knew everything, right? And it was fun just to see, again, sitting around the table, her, they were all having Pokemon conversations, like, what kind of Pokemon is your favorite, and whatever, and everybody's, and I'm like, I don't know anything around that. So that was fun. It was a great, I'm glad that was spot. I took a guess. I'm like, I think she'll enjoy this one. Yeah, that was, so I got off on the right start there. Then we went to for people who know, the Hilton Hotel, which is right now, like whatever, a block or so away. So to tell you that Gen Con has now basically taken every square inch that you possibly can. So the ballrooms in the Hilton were now gaming rooms. So there were actually events in the Hilton, which is right a block and a half away from the convention center. Right? So I think any hotel that's there, every available space is being used for something for there, because that was the first year I think they had events all the way over at the Hilton that we know of. So we went up over there, ended up playing. There was a nice 2-hour D&D session, because I was looking for, I like a 4-hour, I thought might be pushing it. I'm like, that way if she doesn't like it, that way you can bail right in 2 hours and some of that. But 2 hours good, kind of set up as a beginner, all ages. Peter Dillman was the GM. He's a professional GM. That's like, he actually charges people to run things over in Michigan. Did a really nice setup. With had nice painted minis for all the things, the sheets. It was kind of a very, simple kind of set up a story. There's about 3 different arcs we could have picked. They all would have ended up in some kind of just small battle, and that was, in 2 hours, that's about what you're going to get to. It was perfect. Again, Sarah had a blast. It was kind of her first like real D&D game, like sit down and like did that. I had to kind of put a little bit of restraint on her, because she was very like, I'm going to ask a million questions, and we're going to do like, can we do this? And what about this plan? And she's like coming up with all these strange, like crazy plot ideas. Like, well, what if this, I can't remember what we were, there was like the gravedigger guy was lost or something. And we're like talking to the barkeep, to like, who's like, oh, I haven't seen the guy he usually comes in for whatever, right? And she's like going through all like, what if this happened, I'm like, sorry, we'll figure it out, so, but that was good. And then there was another, it was funny, another father daughter were there too, and then an older couple were kind of made up the table. Everybody was really good, kind of a nice mix of playing a little bit of role playing. The other dad was playing a rogue. He was definitely playing playing up to the hilt. I was a druid that with could shape change. So at one point I shape changed into a bear, and just kind of the style of thing, the rogue is like, he's going to do like where you can go and then hide or whatever. And so he runs behind me as the bear, and he's like, well, we've done this before. So he has this cloak of bear hide where he flips it up and he grabs onto my leg and to hide. And again, table got a good kick out of all that. And I can't remember what happened. At some point, something happened, and I think either I moved or something else, or somebody rolled like a 1. He ended up then just left there holding nothing, because I had gone or something else like that, or just a bunch of bear hair off myself. So again, fun game, perfect kind of for I had a blast. I think Sarah had a good time. The whole table was good, and the GM did a nice job of putting up with Sarah, probably for right now. all her, uh, all her things up. But good. And again, I'll have some. I think I have some pictures of that. Really nice. He had a nice, model for the kind of the final stage, the graveyard that we ended up doing the fight and fighting the zombie guys and some of that. Next day ended up doing. We played My Little Pony RPG. Which it's funny. I've had the game forever. I've never really played it.
The things we do for our children.
Yep. And so I know, and I've been through osmosis, I've watched enough My Little Pony that I know kind of the big hits around some of that. But kind of the premise of that, it was kind of and this is it was us, one guy, a younger guy, and then a family.
I was gonna say, were there any single males?
Yes, one. There was one.
Was he wearing any My Little Pony cosplay?
Was he a brony?
Was he a brony?
He was not outwardly showing it, if I could say. And it was
Okay.
like, and he said it was like his first Gen Con or something too. So I think he was a local person too. So yeah, but there was the one guy, and so it was me and another family there were son and daughter and parents who did that. But the premise there was this kind of I think there was like a carnival, and you basically had, again, perfect for kind of a younger, you just had different events that you had to go through, challenges, you're rolling some dice to do. There was like an obstacle course thing. At one point there was a My Little Pony quiz where he basically went around the table and he would ask each person or character, but person, a trivia question about My Little Pony, and you would have to answer it. The kids did much better than the parents did on all that. I think Sarah was 2 for 2 on her. Yeah.
Did you get your question right, Troy?
I got one right and one wrong. I did get one right. I can't remember what the first one was, but I did get it right. One right, and then the second one I didn't. In that, so that was fun. Again, no 2 hours, hour and egg for that. I think my overall impression of the My Little Pony RPG game is that it needs different mechanics. Like, I think they did a really good job with like the fluff and the color or in the background and the skills. I think the core mechanics are not right for what that game should be. I don't know if I can figure out what the core mechanics should be, but I don't think they should be what they are, which is just it's like a roll plus different dice. So you can either, like, for different skill levels, you can add a 4-sided, a 6-sided, 8-sided. I don't know. For me personally, I don't like that scaling. I don't think it gives it doesn't differentiate, I think, the skill level enough, just from the way the math works. But I don't know that anybody's playing that game for the core mechanics, but but I would do it differently.
No comment.
So. I was like, Ty's trying to hold it in. He's like, I got some comment, but I'm not going to say it.
I'm trying. The Kevin Smith had very wise words about, let people celebrate what makes them happy. Shine the light. Don't shit on what people get joy from. So I'm not gonna.
You're not a brony, Ty. How many episodes of My Little Pony have you watched?
0.
Oh, see, that's your problem. That's your
0.
You have a son. You don't have a daughter. I think that's the.
You're not gonna yuck Troy's yum, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not casting shadow upon what brings people joy. So when Troy goes to his brony convention in Philly next year or wherever it is, Philly, see, that's a horse joke.
Yeah.
I won't judge him.
You're welcome,
Josh. You're welcome.
Well done. That was good.
I'm done here. My work is done here.
I didn't see it coming, and you got me.
Yep.
Oh, all right. I will move on and just we'll talk about
Marvel
crucial episodes of My Little Pony. That'll be a different list I'll put out. Top 10 My Little Pony episodes that you have to watch.
Can't wait to see the traffic on that one.
We'll know what kind of people. We'll get a lot of single males that'll tune in there for that one. That'll be
yeah.
I'm gonna jump. So then we also did play, believe it or not, Pokemon, right? Like, that might be the magic of Magic the Gathering for 10-year-olds. Right. So, but again, Sarah loves to play Pokemon against anyone but me, because she is a social animal. So she's like, I can talk to you anytime. I would rather play against a stranger that I can talk about Pokemon stuff with. So she was in her with her people. It's kind of funny to see her at one point. We just did there again, like you can go to Magic and you can play all the different kind of constructed, any kind of version of Pokemon you wanted to play. They had it there, and some company runs it. It's kind of cool. As you play, you kind of collect coupons, and they have just like you can go. Then they have a little thing you can turn to the coupons to get different, and that's where I think these packs came from. We had a couple of tickets left over and did that. So, and she got a nice little plushie. I think it was an Eevee plushie that she got out of whatever. All our effort was for not for nothing. And I think Sarah might have won more than I did. I think we each won a game or two. So, so we did that. So a lot of Pokemon. I think we did that a couple times because it was a nice kind of filler. And and I was saying it was interesting to see. I think like when we go, right, and we're at either a Adepticon and you're like hanging out with your Warhammer people or your whatever Warhammer people. It was interesting to see her at the table at one point because we were doing like a tournament to 2 or 3, and so she was playing and got playing some of the other people. And at one point, just seeing them talk about, what's your favorite? What's your Pokemon? What about this Pokemon? And this one's stronger, and this one does that. And what about this? And what about and I just kind of stepped back and I just like, all right, yeah, like right. This is definitely why it was really one of those cool things about Gen Con and where you find your people, right? And you just get to kind of hang out. So that was pretty cool because I'm still trying to figure out how to translate all that Pokemon knowledge into academics. Like, how come, why do you struggle with math when you can give me the stats of 900 and some different Pokemon, right? There's I think I don't know that it's probably not a capability problem. It's probably an attitude problem, right? That's good.
Well, I mean, you've read the Gamify, the super, she wrote the book after her brain injury, and it's about gamifying things. I mean, there's something to be said there for like, you talk about applying it gamify it, right?
Yep. So that was the Pokemon. A lot of fun there. I got a few games in because I'm getting to be a better Pokemon player over the years. I didn't win that much. I think I went 1 and 3 on the weekend or whatever it was on that. So, and then I did do one thing for me. So my highlight is at the last minute, I somehow, the week before Gen Con, when I was finding events, there was a ticket left over for Marvel RPG run by Matt FADEBACK, friend of the show or guest of the show. That was on the Saturday. And I'm like, all right, this is the one I'm going to do for me. Sarah, you can come along, bring your Switch. You can sit in the corner while we play. And she was perfectly happy with that. I'm not being a bad parent, or not that bad of a parent for 2 hours on some of that. So a lot of fun. Matt came, and again, I don't know how he does it. Like, his schedule is wall to wall for all of Gen Con, right, on all that. But he walked us through. It was cool because he really walked us through the rules on some of that. If we've had Matt on, he just inserts a story at every 5 minutes you get a story about something. Also, a lot of interesting background around why they made some of the decisions they made around when they did the Marvel RPG and things like that.
Did you roll any 616s?
Yeah, we did roll some 616s. Yes. And we got a special Marvel die. So normally you do like the 2 white regulars and then the Marvel die, which is the red one. And they gave us a special one that it's like a clear acrylic one, red one that the ones you buy are like opaque. And so you get that when you do that. So it's cool to get that. So he walked us through rules, and we did a really fast kind of couple, the start of I have visual aids. We have the Deadpool plays the Marvel Universe, which is a kind of a one-shot little book.
Cool.
This was not written by Matt. It was written by somebody else, but he definitely had a lot of input around that. But it's a fun little kind of one-shot adventure to do with Marvel, with the Marvel game. And so we went through the first couple of
what hero were you?
I was Iron Fist.
Iron Fist.
So
Okay.
yeah, they just had some pre-gens that we ran through it, and it. I won't spoil a lot in case somebody plays, but the part is Deadpool is kind of an NPC, so he's kind of the one who's bringing that group together and creates the reason for you kind of going through the different scenarios that you're gonna battle around some of that stuff too. So it's great. Marty, his son, showed up at the end too. So I got to take a picture and talk just a little bit with Matt and said, "Hey, hi, remember not remember, but it's like you don't remember us, but I've met you before. We talked to you on the podcast, whatever." And again, can't say enough nice about Matt. Great guy. It was great. Just like I said, you're playing, you're learning, and then he knows everybody in the industry. Just so many little stories that we heard over the 2 hours or so that we were there that he always inserts and that kind of stuff. So it was a blast. So that was kind of really cool that I kind of got to sneak that in there as my highlight on some of that stuff too. So that was, I think, everything we played. We did do a it was funny. We were doing shopping, which was an adventure with Sarah, but the haul was interesting. We did at some point, she saw this game. What's it called? 100 Ways to Die or A Million Ways to Die, whatever that is. And it's a little card game where you're beans. You're not like people. You're like beans. So make it not Dumb Ways to Die. Yeah, Spin Master Games is that, and she just saw this and she just like, can we do a demo? And again, I'm like, cool. Well, let's go do the demo. And that, but we ended up playing. That was kind of funny. Although she mostly just wanted to see it. And after she went through the cards and saw the different visuals on the card, she was like, I don't need to see like, and they are beans and it's very abstract. So it's not like it's gory at all, but it is kind of funny, but it is kind of like you get smashed and whatever on that. So again, really simple, kind of one of those kind of party game kind of card games. But that was maybe about the only thing that we really, really demoed in the hall. But
all right, gaming.
Boom.
Next up, following the format of the last 81 shows before this, let's talk about hobby. And I'm going to start again because mine's very short and simple. I did nothing. But I have been thinking, now that baseball has been over and vacation's over and some work stuff is shaking its way through the system, putting a little bit of brain power into restarting our D&D campaign after the summer break. So some notes, some map ideas, circular rooms and Dungeon Alchemist, some good stuff going on there. So hopefully soon have that back. So that's hobby adjacent. I think brainstorming and planning and map making is.
Yeah, map making is a hobby.
A hobby.
For sure.
How about you guys? Some construction projects?
Sure, I'll go because mine's pretty short too. I have not gotten back to a brush or anything like that, and I have not even had the 3D printer burning away lately. I've been.
You got to get on schedule for Adepticon.
I know. I have a plan I want to move it and kind of I keep putting things in front of it. I could just plug it in and go, and then now I have a backlog of things that I really want to print because some of these Kickstarters of 3D print stuff have showed up, but I did, and then I was at IKEA a weekend ago. And I'm pointing over there because it's still in the box. But I did buy a display glass case from IKEA, and then I got some lights and things from.
Did you get some of the triangular acrylic shelves to make your?
No, not yet. Yet. Yeah, but I got the lights for it first, so I got to kind of build it and light it, and then I want to be able to add some shelves to have a little bit more around some of that. So it'd be good. It's. Part of it's the space to pull some things off of there so I can rearrange that and do that. So did that, and then procurement, I'll blame Eric, but I have been poking around to at least have enough stuff to maybe try some AOS Spearhead because I've been keep hearing good things about that. So I've been grabbing enough, so I think I have the little whatever that jade fire. I bought that when I was wandering around, so now I just have to play it. No, I have enough. I have my old Sylvaneth I can pull together a Spearhead off the shelf, so we'll try it out.
I'd say I could too, but they shit canned my whole army. So
That kind of leads into my hobby, if we want to start down that path.
I don't have my GW sign.
So I went on a reverse Kickstarter experiment. I went to Gamers Realm, which I think Marlon and maybe a few other people suggested to sell stuff. I brought in my entire Stormcast and said, "What would you give me for this?" And then a whole bunch of board games that just like stuff that I knew I wasn't going to play, and it was my summer clean out, right? And yeah, he was more than fair. He said going into it, because I called up ahead of time and I said, "Hey, do you guys do this?" And he said yes. And he goes, "What kind of AOS stuff are you going to bring?" And I said, "Stormcast." And he went,
Hmm.
"Well, just so you're aware." And I'm like, "I'm aware." Yeah, that he's like, "Yeah, vast majority of it is sort of, not playable technically and whatever." So he's like, I'm not going to be able to give you what it's probably worth." And he was very fair about it. Like he, said it up front even before I came in,
Yeah.
right? So, but I was kind of just done with it anyway. So I probably could have gotten more if I really try to piece it out, but it was like, whatever,
Your
So,
time's worth something too. So
right, exactly. So, also trying to spruce up the gaming area. So
Real quick before that, did
yeah.
you use store credit or cash?
I was gonna I did a little bit of credit and then the rest cash.
What'd you
So
buy?
I bought some Marvel Crisis Protocol actually.
Nice. All right, carry on with sprucing up.
cool. No, you're good. Where is Gamers Realm? Is it
New
north or south?
Berlin.
New Berlin, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like off in a
It's-
little like strip mall plaza
Yeah,
thing.
it's kind of
Right.
by Berghart's, if you know where that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
real close to there, off
And
National.
their sign's not super big, so you like look it up before you go, because I passed it and I was like, oh, there it is. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, so we've been trying to spruce up the basement a little bit, painted a couple walls, built a couple cabinets. I also so I had purchased those glass cabinets a couple years ago and never put them together because I'm cool like that. So finally put those together there, and then I've been thinking about how I want to do lighting. So Troy, I might pick your brain, or Ty, I don't know if you lit yours or
I
not.
didn't light mine.
Okay.
I just stop by and look at it sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not positive I'm gonna light it or not, but yeah, I haven't like filled it yet because I'm trying to make that determination. So so yeah, they're built, they're against the wall, and I put most of my games in a shelf on the wall, kind of like Troy has behind him. So just wanted to kind of make it look a little bit more
Ooh.
gamer inviting down
You
there.
let your games out of the closet?
I'm
did.
excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for Friday.
Yeah. So it looks, and there's a little bit of decor now too.
Coop's letting his freak flag fly.
Yep.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. So
Let the games out of the closet. He's finally out of the closet. It's good.
No more crouching gamer hitting games.
Yeah.
But yes, I have those little triangle shelves too, Troy, Ty.
Cool.
So
So I'll have to look at yours and see what.
yeah,
what
they're super
like.
handy to do like multiple levels. So.
Yeah, it's just if you're just putting like models on the shelf, there's so much empty space above that
Mhm.
they really just help kind of fill the cube, so to speak.
Yeah. So anyway, that's been my kind of hobby, I guess. And I did pick up a brush because I was painting the walls. So yeah.
And I know we've referred to them as display cabinets and glass cases, but they are the Detloff,
Yes.
which is an IKEA product.
It is, but they do no longer make the Detloff.
Now it's named something different, right?
Mine is different. Yeah, mine's a little different. It's a little different style than the Detloff. I think it's actually it's a hair smaller. So yeah, unfortunately, everything I've heard is that you can't find the Detloffs anymore. They replaced them with a couple, but there's a couple other options now.
Yeah.
That they have. Mine's a little bit very similar. Again, it's glass box about this high, right? About that. Dimensions are slightly different, but yeah, that was because I was always kind of looking at that. And then as I went to go look, all of a sudden everybody's like, no, the Detloff has been retired.
All right. Display cases, hobby area spruce up, reverse Kickstarters. I think we're through the hobby list.
Yeah, I think that's
Yep.
it.
Well, let's do the Kickstarter the way that Kickstarter is meant to happen.
Can I go back? So
Yep.
I'm gonna. Sorry, at Gen Con.
We can't. Nope.
So I talked about shopping at Gen Con with my daughter. I almost came home with 16 different plushies because, as you know, when you walk through that, every other vendor is selling some type of, and most of them are Pokemon plushies, which is like I was doubly like had to be
ran the gauntlet.
Had to be the hard dad. Like no, like I bit in and we got one like Thursday or Friday. I think we ended up getting one, right? And then I'm like, that's it, right? Okay, you got your one.
That's the one.
That's the one. And then it has been the rest of the weekend. Luckily, we were able to get the free one. Well, free, right? Free one from our Pokemon playing. We got another Eevee, a little smaller one. I'm like, all right, your mother may not kill us when we go back home, but so then Sunday, we're like looking around and like trying to. I'm like, you just cannot get another plushie. So we do get to one of these Japanese like import. I'm trying to get my I'll put it in my face. There we go. And we found these Japanese Pokemon toys. So it's like, and if you can see the picture, all little cute whatever things. And I'm like, you know what? It's not a plushie. We're going to go for it. You're paying a little bit of a premium because you're at Gen Con and it's from Japan. But it looked kind of cool. I just kind of like, I'm going with it. We bring it home. And it might even been the Sunday night that we get back. And Sarah's like, oh, I want to, open it up. I'm like, well, hold on. And I'll kind of do it. She, of course, never listened to me. So and I come back later and like true Japanese toy fashion. This is, I don't know if they have it on here. So literally these were all on sprues. Like this was a model. I didn't realize it was like a model kit. And so I was like very happy as a dad. Like she literally like didn't want to wait for me because I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah. She goes down to my hobby desk, grabs my clippers. She goes up there, clipping them out, and has the thing like 90% built because they're all this kind of push fit. But I was like, all right, hey, we kind of stumbled into it, but I'm like, all right,
it's a win.
Got her into she was doing that. So she did hobby. I didn't do any hobby. She did the hobby. We bought it at Gen Con. I only need to help her with a few little pieces in that, but yeah, she did 99%. I was just and her impatience. I was like, she knew where my clippers were, so she's like, yeah, they got to that. So sorry, I missed that. Yeah, I wanted to. That was a hobby. I should have put an actual note in our notes, but so we did get some hobby going from Gen Con.
Very cool.
All right, crowdfunding, Kickstarter. Who's back in what?
I'm not back in. I'm back in one of these and not the other one. The other one I just thought was interesting. I just wanted to troll Ty a little bit, and see, because I'm sure that it's going to sell millions and has already run through the thing. Is that the Stormlight Archive RPG went live a week or so ago, where they're turning the Cosmere universe, and bringing it to RPG land. If you like those things, if you're a Brandon Sanderson,
if you like Brandon Sanderson, great, enjoy it. Go play his RPG. I'm sure it's wonderful and not at all a word vomit like 90% of his novels. Celebrate what people like.
Who is this guy? Who is this
I
guy?
know that was good. It's funny because you can just read between the lines. I think that's
Yeah.
even more fun. That's the
Minus the
yeah.
word vomit. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
pretty nice.
yeah, it's
I
good.
didn't say anything about people who like Brandon
Yeah.
Sanderson. I just shared some commentary on a man who can write 300,000 words a month.
Mhm.
They're not all original. They're not all good.
But some of them are. I do have a few that I like.
Great.
I have
You
not,
can-
but
you
I
can
have
like-
not get the Stormlight Archive is not one of the ones that I've been able to get into. But
I'm not stopping anyone from liking it. I am just not reading any more of it ever.
so we'll go on to the one I did
Yeah.
back, and I'm going is if you look at it's a little 3D print. It looks like if you know the GW kind of storage box terrain set, that looks basically they've done something like that, but it's actually a dice box, and so you can put your dice in it for when you're wargaming. And then what's kind of cool is it actually like stacks the dice. I think it's in 5s or something like that, so that the premise is you can easily, like when you're trying to count squads, instead of being kind of shuffling through, do I have 10, do I have 12, whatever, you can easily kind of, you're pulling out a stack of 5 or 6 or whatever it is, and you do the quick math. And so whether it works in practice or not, it'll be see, but it looked fun, not very expensive at all. I have a 3D printer, looked kind of cool. So it's getting a lot of people may have already seen it because it seems to be getting a lot of traction around some of the YouTubes too. So
Cool.
And is this 3D printable or no? He's
yeah, it's 3D print. You
Okay.
can. I think they also have a physical reward. Like you can pledge, and they will give you a physical one. Like they'll print it for you. But I think the idea is it's a
Yeah.
STL. So
Pretty cool. A useful tool. I will.
And then everybody's saying that there's. My guess is that somebody has already had. I'm sure they have the idea, right? Is somebody doing something like that for a fantasy type, with a fantasy type theme or something? But
that would make sense.
Nice. All right. Let's keep trucking. Other items of nerdery, pop culture, geekery, gaming.
Cool. I will run. I think I had some stuff. So I don't know if you guys saw. So remember Dead Zone? Mantic's run at kind of the sci-fi skirmish game, kind of like it was Kill Team before Kill Team. Okay game, interesting terrain. Like a lot of people bought it just because you got some really cool plastic terrain in that set. I think it's like 10 years old now or something like that. But what interesting is they're kind of re-releasing it, but they're also releasing STLs of all the model, like the figures.
Cool.
Basically kind of embracing the idea of like, hey, here's a way that this game can continue on. We're going to not really support. I mean, I think they're kind of like, hey, we're going to, support it a little bit, but, we're not going to put all the energy into producing the miniatures. Here's the STLs. You can buy them. Go for it. Right. So I think it was interesting, right? Is it is it a sign of the future? Is it a sign of something? Right. I don't know. Mantic isn't really ever usually leading the way on something. But for their size of company and their thing, it kind of makes sense. Like,
I think it's an interesting move. It makes a lot of sense because that game, for lack of a better word, is likely dead on arrival if they don't offer that. Like, I don't think anyone's going to go pay a premium for Dead Zone. Maybe I'm wrong. What's sad about it though is like the company that really needs to think about doing that for out of print stuff or just a different way to access some of their stuff is never going to do it because they continue to ratchet up the price of their stuff and throw the hammer at people that try to do anything close to it. And like, I don't know.
I don't know if never. It's an interesting word.
They're still charging people $7 a month to get subpar internet content and rules to their games.
Facts.
I don't know. I don't think Games Workshop will ever direct sale any of the STLs from models that are in the current range. I think what you might see is old discontinued models. That might be a thing, but I also don't think some of those old models have
No, I bet you
STLs
they don't
because
think
they
because
weren't 3D
Yep.
design. They were likely
Yep.
done by designers in studio with green stuff and whatever. But
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see because one of the if you you listen to some of the ex GW people who've been there, and what's funny is internal to GW, right? Nowadays, all their new models, the first models, like some of the models you actually
Mhm.
see, I think again,
Yep.
don't know, hearsay, right? Some of the models you actually may
Yeah.
see on the box art are probably 3D printed
Yep.
because they were done before, and so
Speed the
internally
market before
they're
the
right.
yeah.
They're doing all their prototypes on, I'm sure, on resin printers internally and
Mhm.
things like that. So let me see where the market goes, right? They don't have to, right? The thing is, GW doesn't have to yet, right? And
Right.
it'll be, is anything going to force their hand? Is there going to be a shift? I don't know, right? Or on some of
Yeah.
that. But again, I thought it was interesting, right? Because
Yeah, no, very
Niantic, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, it's again for that kind of game, right? That's a game that is kind of like you said, it's a dead game. They're bringing it back to life. Is this a way of
Yeah.
interesting? Does that help revive it? Do they get a little bit? Can they get a little bit of revenue again from their point of view? Right, they've invested all their time, effort. It's all been developed, right? It's just just sitting on their shelf.
Yeah.
Can we generate another bump of revenue from this game, right?
Mhm.
From that, so. The other one I had a list of just random Gen Con notes.
I really want to know about Hotel Guy, Troy.
Okay,
That's
so
the
we're
one that
checking.
Yeah.
So we check in. We stayed at the Home to Suites, which is down by if you know Gen Con, down off the circle where that whatever the big statue is, right, in the middle there, off of there. We check in Thursday, and an older guy, who again he's like, and I don't know how we ended up chatting about it or whatever, and about they're sold out and full, and then he's like, in my 30 years in hospitality is in working, that Friday, so the Friday of Gen Con is, to him, he's like, it's the only day in 30 years. Basically, they had no check-ins or check-outs of the hotel on the Friday of Gen Con. They were
Wow.
completely full, and nobody was scheduled to come in or out on it. And I guess you never think about it. Like there's probably always at least a couple people or something else, right? That rooms that whatever. But he's like, I'd never seen a hotel that just is nothing. They didn't have anything. Not that they don't have anything to do, but there's nobody checking in or out for a whole day around that. So
That's crazy.
yeah. So I can't remember how we got on the subject, but it was funny when we were checking into that. So that was funny. The other, I shouldn't say the other bad dad thing is I did make Sarah go to 40 minutes of the Gen Con auction where we took a break in there and watched, because it happened to be lining up with the Friday afternoon we were walking around, and that's normally the miniature when they sell in kind of miniatures GW stuff on there. So we just sat in. I actually didn't buy anything. I was tempted. Some old Space Hulk stuff came up, but it wasn't anything I really, not that I didn't already have it or really need. So ended up not doing anything there. Sarah was doing something, but afterwards she told me I was torturing her. On that, we did play on Thursday. We got down there. We wanted to make sure we got down because we got there late mid afternoon, checked in, whatever, ran over, and we were able to. GW did do the kill team laser tag game again, and I thought that again another thing that Sarah had a blast with. It's not the best laser tag in the world at all. It's all about kind of that experience, getting the big. I didn't realize how heavy those guns were.
Yeah,
because Sarah was like, "Whoa!" She had a ton of fun, but it was like that was some effort for her to haul that around for the 10 minutes or whatever they run with. So we got to do that one, and then you guys have been. I don't know if you guys have been there or not, but I always get almost at one point, and I always every convention get some comment around somebody looks at my badge, and I have a 3-digit badge number. And now it's funny because Sarah has a 6-digit badge number. of like 500,000 and something, where mine is maybe in the 600s or something like that. So it's always this funny reminder of how many years I've been going to it now. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
and then other one, I think we talked about a little bit. I finally made it over to Old Guard Games over in Milwaukee, kind of downtown. I didn't realize. I don't know if Ty, have you been in there yet?
I have not over on the east side. No.
I know other people talked about it. I did not. I expected to go in and kind of a game store.
It's like miniature.
What I really like, yeah, it is a miniature forward
Yeah.
game store, which is cool. I mean, for us, it's cool, right? That's our people. That's our. But I was expecting to see kind of more board games, more other stuff around. But it is like we're miniature gaming, and miniature gaming. There are some board games. There's one board of the more and of course they have Magic. They got to actually make money, right, on something, on some of that. But like really cool, a lot of smaller miniature games. Moonstone, I was tempted. I almost bought it because I was there, just because I've been hearing interesting things about it. I'm just worried I'm never going to play it. It's not my kind of fairy fantasy kind of game, is not kind of in my thing, but I've heard interesting things about it as a small skirmish game. I think it has some interesting card mechanic or something else like that. That one, again, some of the smaller Silver Bayonet, some of the smaller miniature games, more Napoleonics. I was really pleasantly surprised, right? I think I was there, but to see a store that's just so very much embracing the current miniature games and all that different stuff is really cool. So recommend it if you're in the Milwaukee area. Again, kind of really cool building, real cool space. I forgot, I was so excited I did not get down to the game space below. I didn't go downstairs. I just kept saying I'm going to go downstairs, and I kept getting distracted by all these cool things as I went thing, and then I ended up I checked out, and I'm like, oh shoot, I never ended up sneaking downstairs to look at their thing. So I'll make it back. It's only 5 minutes from work when I'm downtown. So and then I don't know, Ty, if you saw this, they finally heard you. We will see GW animation outside the paywall on Amazon.
Secret level based on the guy who did Death, Love, and Robots, animated, all video game themed. So
that looks so cool.
It's focused on the Space Marine 2 kind of release, which is the Ultramarine Sergeant or whatever. So I think it'll continue the video game story, which we'll see.
Yeah, but there's the other video games in there look cool. I mean, it looks like it's just going to be a really cool. I mean, Death, Love, and Robots was awesome. And it, I think if they can do, again, you only see the trailer. Of course, they make that look cool, but yeah, I'm excited because I think even video games that you're aware of, but maybe I didn't play. I think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be pretty cool. But anyway, I was just shocked because I had to see it twice because you kind of run through. And because I just saw the ad that's for Prime, and I'm like, oh yeah, this looks interesting. And then also I'm like, wait, I think that was a Space Marine. I go, and I went back. I'm like, wait, that is it. And it's like not like a fake. I'm like, oh, it's just like a power armor guy. And then I go back like, no, that's a Space Marine.
Yeah. The Warhammer community article on it too is interesting because they allude to, they're like, and no, this is not the Amazon project. Right. That's still forthcoming. We'll share more info when we can. Which means that hasn't been killed yet, which is good because there's been who knows what kind of development moving forward and not. But it'll be interesting, and I'm yes, it is out from beyond one paywall,
and it's behind the Amazon paywall.
Behind the Amazon paywall.
And that's it. Sorry, I
no, that's
monopolized
that's
other.
I'm gonna see if I can reach it. I'm gonna go off camera because this is worth it, guys. I'm telling you. I went into GameStop recently with my wife, and she saw these, and I think her intention was to buy them for me, but I just went and bought them because that's what I do. So first, we will share. Oh, that glare is gonna be a problem.
I got the.
There we go.
The headline though. Yep. Okay.
Oh,
Vecna,
nice.
Mind Flare, Demogorgon, the
Demogorgon.
D&D monster 3-pack. So
Very
you can kind of
cool.
see that
Very
better
cool.
than the ones
Yep.
there. And then
This one's My Little Pony.
this one is My Little Pony. If My Little Pony was Behemoth.
Oh,
Nice.
The big box. So
That's awesome.
$100 or so in pop figurines, never a bad idea. But yeah, so purchase that.
Very cool.
Those are cool. Those are very cool.
I didn't know that there were like I know they've done the Stranger Things. I know there's the D&D ones from the D&D movie. I didn't know those were out there. So I was like, oh, let's go. Behemoth.
That is
three villains.
I didn't know they were out there either. That's really cool.
Behemoth is like that's like not a like. That's a little bit of an edge. Like they're going deep. That's like
it's a deep cut.
Yeah. Thought it was pretty cool. So I'll add those somewhere in the basement on a shelf or whatever. Right now they were just sitting on my table on a copy of Power Grid, which I got, and some zombie side characters because I bought the Supernatural boxes they did for a second edition for Sam and Dean Winchester because let's be honest, they're amazing. Now we need like a news bulletin.
Oh.
Special news report from Thai Studios Evening News Desk. Just in, Deadline reporting a TV deal for something that we talked about recently.
What?
Matthew Dinniman has signed a deal with Seth MacFarlane's Fuzzy Door team to adapt Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yes.
So Universal International Studios, Seth MacFarlane's Fuzzy Door, set to develop a TV adaptation of Matt Dinniman's novel Dungeon Crawler Carl. Chris Yost, best known for writing Marvel's Thor Ragnarok and Disney Plus's The Mandalorian, is set to adapt the book for the screen. Grab the rights to the novel in what's described as a highly competitive situation, with USG's creative acquisitions and IP management team playing a key role in the deal. Then it goes on to talk about how it sold over 1 million copies, his indie novel, self-published, originally ebook and audiobook. Talks about it, says MacFarlane's Fuzzy Door, the project joins a slate that includes Peacock's Ted, an adaptation of a graphic novel series, The Shrouded College, and a revival of Herman Welk's classic American war novels, The Winds of War. So this is Seth MacFarlane, who obviously has done Family Guy, Ted movies, other projects. So it's his kind of, yeah. So they don't say if it will be animated. I would imagine that, as we talked about when we talked about how best to do that adaptation, it might be an animated project because that would be tough to do live action. But we'll see. It may never get there, but I thought that was pretty cool. I saw that today out
awesome.
there on Deadline. So
it's good.
We're on the pulse of pop culture, guys.
I'm glad Seth is listening to us.
Yeah.
For any for any ideas he needs for IPs, he's trying to get a hold of. So
give us Ty at basementofdeath.com, at Playin Slayin, playing the basementofdeath.com. Come find us. We're out there.
Yeah, Seth, if you're listening, and we know that you are,
if you need somebody to do some voices, I will do voice work. Like, let's go.
I think what's the I could see Ty as the what do they call it? The coach guy. What do they call him?
Mortimer?
Yeah, right. The guy who's the whatever their manager, right? He's their manager now. Yeah. I think Ty would be. Yeah, I think you got the perfect voice. That
Mordecai,
not Mortimer.
Yeah.
Mordecai. All right. So thought that was cool. Wanted
that is
to share.
Cool. Very cool.
Troy, I'll send you the link for the show notes.
That might be the thumbnail right there. That's what I'm going to think I'm going to put on the thumbnail.
Let's, speaking of book adaptations and reading and listening, let's just go into the library and start talking about what we're reading, listening, watching to. I've started all the other ones, so I'm going to kick it off to Troy first. Not forgetting about Josh like I did in episode 80, but Troy, gonna let you go first.
Sure. Mine's pretty easy. I was trying to look back. It's because I started the next Malazan book, House of Chains.
Yeah, hey,
that
that happens.
that'll start taking your time.
48-hour commitment.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm halfway. But again, it's Malazan. Interesting turn as we started book 4. When I get through it, maybe we'll do a little touch on that. But enjoying that. But when I start those books, I know it's going to be, I'm like going dark for a month as I work my way through the audiobook around some of that stuff too. So, but I have like, then I intersperse it because I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I did read like a actual paper pulp graphic novels. So basically when kind of like you mentioned the supernatural miniatures, when Simon has been doing Zombicide, they've been doing some special box characters, and then they did a set of graphic novels for kind of each of the settings around that. And I finally got around to reading the one for Zombicide Invader called Dead Contact. Pretty good. I enjoyed it through that. It was interesting because they work in some of the characters that you have, basically the base characters that are in there, plus some of the squad. It's interesting how they worked in some of the like extra squads you could get through the Kickstarter and things like that, and worked them into the story. So it was fun. And actually, I have the second one sitting on my shelf, so I may run through that and ring that. So I didn't know what to expect. I mean, you're like, what are you really going to expect? But I would say it meet or exceeded my expectations slightly, for which weren't super high, but it was good. Enjoyed that. And then kind of out of the sci-fi fantasy realm, looking for a little bit of a palate cleanser, and it came up on my Spotify audiobooks, was Liar's Poker. So this was Michael Lewis, Moneyball, Big Short, pretty much his first book, I think, written in 1989. I did not know Michael Lewis actually worked for Salomon Brothers on the bond trading floor in London, and it's kind of like in some ways you read this, it's the prequel to The Big Short.
Yeah.
And it makes it I don't know, you can read through it, you learn a lot about US financial system, financial companies. A lot of it is changed, but a lot of it is not changed in some ways. Entertaining. Michael Lewis, I enjoy. Like, you learn a lot along the way. He always makes it entertaining. If you read Moneyball, if you read The Big Short, other things like that, really. So, but it's interesting. It is a little bit, you're going back in time because it was written in 1989. So that's where he's talking about the 70s, 80s, and a lot of the financial crisis that happened then, and the rise in there and things like that. And you'll learn a little bit. Again, I work in financial services, so it was interesting to even learn like some of the history of where some of these interesting financial vehicles came from. And you think that it's funny, like recent history. Again, a lot of it, right? Again, not just this stuff, but people always think these things have been this way forever, whether it's your health insurance, financial things, whatever. And you go back, you realize, no, you know what? A lot of this stuff has only been around for, in this case, right, we're getting close to 40 years now, but 20, 30 years, it has not been here forever, right? And a lot of people will act like it's been here forever. And so I would recommend it. It was a fun palate cleanser. And he reads it himself too. So the author reads it. So if you're looking for something completely different.
Yeah. And completely different, I really want to hear about the second thing on Josh's list.
Yeah. So reading, I kind of put a pause. I don't know. This summer I don't read as much. I don't know why, but I've been working through Kingstar Tidings book 5. Really good. I just been busy with random other stuff. So
is this where I don't see any comment, Ty, about
what's that?
Just I let Josh enjoy his Dark King's Tidings, and
let him enjoy.
Yep,
Bryce and him loved it.
Yep,
I like.
I'm glad they love it, and I'm glad they love it. Yep,
I'm glad they love it. I am too.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. It's fun.
I would argue Calcade might be a better author than Brandon Sanderson.
Ooh. Yeah, I think so too.
Where's a hot take? That's going on the thumbnail.
Yeah, let's go.
But yeah, so watching, I finished up Fallout, which was great. I know I'm late to the game on that. Um, my wife and I have a hard time finding things that we both like to watch. So this is the thing Ty was alluding to. We watched the Lacey Peterson documentary on Netflix, which I remember like back in the early 2000s, right?
Uh,
Like that whole situation going on. And I don't think I really followed it back then, but yeah, it was very interesting and crazy. Like the whole thing was wild. So anyway,
yeah,
thought I'd mention it.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm losing it because it's like my wife and I need to find the and this is where we ended. This is where we
Right.
ended up. Like,
This is the weird intersection where we,
that's what's
like
killing me. That's what's the,
Yeah.
crime drama type, she likes the
uh,
you know realistic stuff, and yeah, I don't know, whatever. And then I started Three Body Problem. It's super good. I actually didn't read the books yet, but
Don't.
don't. Yeah.
no, okay. The show is really great. I'm really enjoying it. So it's a little confusing at first, but then it all kind of starts to piece together, which I mean makes sense, right?
Not as confusing as the book. So you're ahead of the game.
Super good.
I really think the book struggles from the translation. I
Yeah.
don't think it is. I don't know.
Yep. I have not made. I didn't make it. I started. I'm the same where you, Joe. I started. I need to like this one of the things I need to pick up and finish because
Mhm.
I was excited when I started. I watched the first, maybe the first 1.5 episodes. But I was excited because it's like there's this really cool story in the book,
Yeah.
but I struggled through the book. I struggled through, and like I said, it's a translation, so you're always like, is it because I'm not reading it in the native language? Is it the pacing, the story, whatever? But there
Yeah.
is a really cool story there. I mean, and when I got done, it was one of those where I'm kind of like, I'm glad I made it through, but man, that was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Great story. Yeah, I'm about halfway through. I think there's 6 episodes, 6 or 8, I forget.
Yeah.
I think I'm on 3 or 4. So yeah, super good. Really enjoying it. And I think that's pretty much it for reading, listening, watching.
Nice. Well, I have been on a plane a lot recently. I went on a vacation to Mexico, so I downloaded all of season 1 of House of the Dragon because that was one that I just never like. I wanted to watch it. I know the history of the Westeros and Fire and Blood, and but I just had never like watched. I watched the first episode, I think, when it came out, and then just never got back to it.
Yep.
So I watched it. In between, like at night when Nicole and Landon would go to sleep, and I'm in the hotel room or whatever, or on the plane. Like I watched season 1 kind of over the course of the week, and now I've started watching season 2. I think season 3 is coming, or I don't know when it releases, or I think they're doing a season.
They're doing a season 3. We still might be a year or two out.
A year,
just I happen to hear something,
but I'm enjoying it, especially if you are a fan of Game of Thrones. You don't even have to be a fan of how Game of Thrones ended, but if you like the world, you like the acting's good, the story's good, the sword play's good, the dragons are cool. It's neat. It's probably an 8 as far as shows go, but HBO always, I think, does a good product, and there are some actors that are really good, like Matt Smith plays Daemon Targaryen, and really good. So that's kind of what I watched, and then I read a book, Between the Beach and by the Pool. So I've talked about Jordan Harper. He writes kind of crime, thriller, mystery stuff. I think I talked about earlier this year, She Rides Shotgun. This was another book, one of his newer ones, called Everybody Knows. And it is kind of about the underbelly and the money of Hollywood, and like how these firms will kill stories and keep journalists away and pay off bribes. So kind of like a publicist, but a cleaner type. So there's these 2 narratives. One is a woman who works for this firm that does that. The other is kind of a former LA County sheriff who got fired, but never like ratted on his guys. But it was they'd plant evidence and like kind of there's rumors of these gangs in the various sheriff's departments. And now he does like dirty work for one of these firms, like beats people up to get them to share their story or whatever. And there's a murder and they are involved in some way in trying to get to the bottom of what's happened and sharing secrets and saving this girl who's 14 and trapped in this kind of world. It's really good. Tense pacing. Like Jordan Harper just writes very, very quick paced books. Like you're going page to page and the hits keep coming. And it's clear he does TV now. I think he's been involved with Sleuth maybe or something else, and he's bringing a graphic novel that's about crime to I think Amazon or Netflix. But anyways, Jordan Harper, if you like kind of modern crime thrillers, mystery, it's good. And then I've been listening to The Bright Sword. So Lev Grossman, who wrote The Magicians, it just came out, I think, in July. I might have talked about it a little bit last time, but I'm getting further into that. I'm about 80% done on Audible, and it is kind of like the fall post Arthur's death Camelot with some of the lesser known knights. So you get kind of his take on some of the lesser known Arthurian legends, and they're on a quest to find either Arthur or the new king. But it's really good. It's grown on me. It started, I was kind of like, I don't know, but it's getting better as it goes. I don't know if he plans on writing more or if this is a standalone. But I think like the first Magician's book I liked, but then the rest I was kind of like, eh. But this one, Lev Grossman, I think did a really good job with it. And then Troy, because I never caught up with The Expanse and I got so far behind, it felt like I'd never catch up. I decided instead of finishing The Expanse, I was going to pick up James S.A. Corey's brand new series, brand new book, when it released, The Mercy of Gods. And I am tearing through it. It is really good and incredibly different than anything they did with The Expanse. Just totally different. It has aspects of like Adrian Tchaikovsky's Children of
Time.
Ruin, Children of Time.
Yep.
There's these science researchers. There's this alien invasion. Totally, the aliens just have no humanity to them, both in their philosophy and what they do to planets they conquer, how they look and how they're described. And James S.A. Corey just go like, this is, whereas The Expanse was like space opera and politics and war, this is hard sci-fi with incredible character and stories of how people, like what makes humans human and emotion and like relationships, with this overarching, like there's this alien race that comes to conquer and is so foreign and different. And it's fantastic. I don't know if it'll be 9 or 10 books, but this one I'm going to try to like now it's like now I got to wait for the next one.
The ink's not even dry on your book tie. Like the book just came out like 2 weeks ago.
I know,
and
I'm
like that. So
340 pages into it.
You're gonna be waiting a long time. Just saying, you need to pace yourself. That's good.
At least I won't be behind.
It is on my list, but I figured I had a little time to catch up with this one.
And then I'm on Audible. The moment I finish The Bright Sword, I did get. I'm on this like books as they're released, brand new books. Keanu Reeves partnered with Chena Melville to write the Book of Elsewhere, which is about I think the series that Reeves has done is like Berserk, about the soldier that's like immortal, or I don't know the full story, but there was a graphic novel that Keanu Reeves did. He partnered with Chena Melville to do this. And then Audible has like 6 or 7 voice actors, so I'm pretty excited to dive into it. But the Book of Elsewhere is next up.
Sweet,
cool. You'll report back.
So that's, I think, everything I've been watching and reading. I probably forgot something, but deal with it. Now we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we are going to have a convention coffee Klatch. And if you thought it was coffee clutch, you're wrong. It is not. It is Klatch, and we'll talk about that. All right. And we have returned from our break to talk about conventions, what makes them awesome, why we like them, why we keep going, what our favorite ones are, and all that. But I did reference a coffee Klatch. And what's interesting is if you thought it's a coffee clutch, and if you've ever heard the term, you were wrong, because it's Klatch, which is a German word that translates to coffee gossip, a social gathering where people drink coffee and have casual conversations. So I mean, we don't drink coffee. We drink liquid death or alcohol. But it's like a drink Klatch on convention. So I thought that was cool. I like words. And for years, I swore it was coffee clutch.
I thought so too. Yeah, that's good. That's going on the thumbnail too.
I'm just glad I can keep, firing off these thumbnail things and keyword searches and make us relevant. So 55 people can find us on YouTube.
Yep.
And 64 people can download off iTunes. All right, let's start. Conventions. We've talked about a lot of them. We've gone to a lot of them. I'm going to ask you to choose one year and location of your favorite convention. Can't be, you may have thought this was going to be easy, Troy, because I was going to say, favorite convention, and I was going to leave you the Adepticon out. No, I need year, location, convention.
2024, Bland, Missouri. BoD Con.
That one doesn't count.
That
one doesn't count.
Judges.
Yeah.
Minimum attendance has to be 50.
I don't know what year it was, but I will throw out an experience. And that might actually be the answer to the second question too. But the year the Gen Con year where you were getting the boat ready during our RPG session. I can't remember which year that was though. So
pre-COVID, probably 2018, 17, 2017,
somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. I feel like that year there was a lot of fun stuff we did. We had a lot of good times.
And I got the boat ready.
And you got the boat ready. And
the boat was so ready.
I just remember start to finish, that was like a fun Gen Con. Like I don't think there was too many shakeups. Everybody was happy. Yeah. That was a great one.
That was. Now the hard one though is Troy answering this question.
Yeah.
So I'm asking him to do roughly 40 years of conventions. And I know Troy doesn't want to offend anyone, so he doesn't want to say that Origins trip that Ty and I took where Josh wasn't there, or that one I went to with my brothers where you guys weren't there. Or he doesn't want to leave any. So we're going to see how he does this. And this is a study in watching Troy Weiss, and I'm very excited for this.
See who he likes best.
So I hope you're on YouTube so you can see the turmoil underneath.
Yeah. What's interesting is I think it's gonna be a Gen Con. As much as it's interesting, as much as I love, it's hard to say. There's some good Adepticons in there. But oh man, and then although I should say, and then Ty, you throw in maybe I'm gonna throw in 3. I'm gonna give a top 3. And I'm just going to go with, 1980, when did I go? 4? I think 1984 was my first Gen Con. And it, there was nothing like it, right? This was whatever. So that one's got to stay around somewhere there. I And then I am gonna go like I'm gonna go to, and it's a little bit experience like 20. I think it was 2017. One of the few times where all my siblings were John, Ben, and Mandy, and myself were all at Gen Con. Again, there's just some really great memories, really great time around some of that. So that one's probably, so I think that was 2017. I think it was the year before, or it might have been 16 actually, because it might have been the year before the 50th anniversary, trying to get that. So that, and then I think I'm going to throw in, the 2010 Origins tie. That was me, you, Matt, and Elena.
Yeah. Yeah.
One, because it was like I didn't really know Matt, and that was getting to know Matt and Elena back in the day. There's some epic adventures at, what was the bar across the
Barley's
Barley's, yeah, in some of that.
elevator.
So maybe I think that's my kind of group. It's hard to like,
and that North Market, man.
I mean, there's something to say for the,
Yeah.
and it's hard to, it's interesting. I think, maybe we'll get, it's not that Adepticon's in some ways, like you asked me that like straight out, like favorite convention, like without like a date time kind of thing. And I probably would say Adepticon every time. Right. But there's something about, I think, the spectacle of Gen Con and Origins that kind of keep those at the top of the list. What about yours?
Recency bias is real.
You can't say BoDCon. We already cut that one off.
No. 2024 Adepticon was a very good time. The only thing that I might have to do is rewind to 2023, because I so enjoyed the team tournament with Brian and Gabe and Danner. Like, that was the best 5 games of Warhammer I ever played. And I would do that team tournament again and again and again and again with those guys. Blink twice, Ty, for being held hostage. No, I think this year's Adepticon was really great. I love the Space Hulk game. I loved hanging out with Raph, getting to know Tom, the ICs guys. Like, there was just some really great moments. Painting Chaos Spawn until 2:30 in the morning.
Yes.
With what's his paint guy that lives down there, coming by and seeing what we were doing. My God, old man brain is killing me.
Waffle.
Yep. Hanging out with Danner and Coop, just like that was a really great one. But it's recency bias. I mean, like, first Gen Con, where my buddies and I stayed up all night sleeping under tables in the Milwaukee Convention Center, finding the bottom of a stairway to play D&D by, because all the gaming space was closed. Like, first Gen Con Indy, you know, there are some big ones. The first Origins trip, going to Essen with Brian and Will to work and late. Essen was a spectacle. I mean, it's hard. Like, that was intentionally hard and very difficult, especially when and like Gamehole Con. I mean, there's so many great ones. There's so many great moments. It's really a hard question. But I think it was more fun.
I think,
and who could forget, like, the 3 of us going to Gen Con 2014?
It was like 2010. That was like 2010. Yeah. That was like our first.
That was a great time.
So, and I will take us on a tangent, because it's still, and I was at work and I pulled out, you guys, I don't know, I have one. So I have my business card, my Space Hulk business card that has like, and it happens to have like my troyweiss.com domain name on it. And it's not even that, what's on there is this ancient blog, but what's on there is the blog write up from the 2010 when we went. So it was just last week, because somebody at work, and then of course my people at work are like, I'm gonna go type in what's that troyweiss.com, and I'm like, hopefully it's nothing embarrassing. But so I know, that's how I know it was 2010 around that, because everybody went and looked at, and it's still out there floating around write-up of our kind of our first one where you guys were
Your replacement brothers.
replacing my brothers, yeah, because they
Josh
couldn't
was
go
John,
for
I was Ben. Yeah,
Yep.
so that was the fun one.
That's funny.
So we touched on some things that were memorable and great, but what are some of the most memorable experiences? And what I really want to focus on is this is not necessarily like a gaming moment or a victory in a tournament or like seeing Space Hulk culmination, but like conventions are so much more than the games played, right? It's the vendor halls, it's the spectacle, it's the shows, it's the cosplay, it's the like it's the stuff that happens walking from place to place and between. So doesn't have to be one, doesn't have to be, but a few of your favorite kind of convention memories or experiences.
Well, I think I already touched on it a little bit, but yeah, we're playing Outbreak Undead on the cruise ship, right? And we're all kind of fighting our way through the adventure, and Ty and I think it was a bunch of us, right? It was the three of us,
Paul
Paul,
DK, Ben.
Ben. Was John there?
I don't think so.
Tom might have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul,
I feel like
don't
we
know.
had
Yeah.
majority of the
Yeah,
table,
it was
right?
like 6 of us and one
Yeah.
other guy.
Yeah. And Ty runs back to get the boat ready, right? And hilarious. We all like died laughing.
Okay.
And I will never forget that, like, that whole I remember a good chunk of that whole RPG experience because of that one
You
moment,
guys
right?
went to the Lido deck and it was overrun. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm not going out there. So
Right.
I went back to get our escape plan ready. We had a boat that we took to get out to the like
Yeah.
it made tactical sense. It was somebody had to do it.
Right. And it was super
Who
fun.
better than me?
Who better than, self-preservation, Tyson?
Mhm.
No, it was great. And like we all still joke about it to this day, right? And so, yeah, super fun. 2 honorable mentions: running Zombicide Black Plague at various conventions. I always think that's fun to bust that out and get it going. And then the first year where I pulled, and I know this might get some boos and jeers and whatever, but I pulled the golden ticket for True Dungeon when I was like a fledgling just getting into it, and I happened to get a golden ticket randomly, right? And then doing that whole experience, that was super, super fun.
I'm not gonna do what you think I'm gonna do, Josh.
Yeah, don't yuck my yum, all right?
I'm not. You love True Dungeon. You do what you love. You enjoy every moment.
So
Just
over the
please don't
years,
ask me to do it with you ever.
it's become a little less fun, right? And I'm not quite as into it, but at the time, like that moment, like winning the golden ticket and being there with all those people, and like not knowing, like I'd played a few times, right? And just not know, like being kind of thrust into this grandiose event was sort of like mind blowing, right? So yeah, it was super fun, super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Those are mine top few. How
I
about
like it.
How about you, Troy?
All right. This is hard. So let's go chronologically in some form. Origins, like, I don't know, Ben will have to remember 1990s, because we used to go a ton in the 90s so basically in the 90s when Gen Con was in Milwaukee, basically John, Ben, and I, like, Origins was then our road trip convention, because right, it's always a little bit different. Like when the convention's in your hometown, right, it's a little different, right, around that. So we would always go to Origins. We did for almost 10 years in the 90s. And so sometime we'll say 97, 98, something like that. Ben and I are playing. There was the Babylon 5 role-playing game that we were playing that was like one shot, whatever. And Ben is hilarious to play in a one shot because he tries to stress the GM in whatever ways to it. But so there was the scenario was, I don't remember exactly, but there was some kind, like the idea was there was a trader, like somebody, like we're doing that, and we're going through this whole thing, and Ben and I were actually sitting next to each other, so we were kind of doing a little bit behind the, like whatever, and trying to figure this out, and there's at points where I'm like just prophesizing to the other people, like, because they're like, oh no, Ben's not the, he can't be the traitor because he whatever, and I'm like totally bought in that. And the last 15 minutes I basically get, we go into a room, and I think he ended up like killing me or shot, like, because he was the traitor. And I remember just like that was like like I can't believe, like I never, like he didn't even tip his hand, like nothing to me, nothing to the, like I had no idea. It was hilarious. And I was just, I had made so many like pleas or to everybody, like, oh no, there's no way he can be the traitor. Other people were like, why is he doing kind of sketchy stuff? And and then like, and you're like, oh, it makes sense or whatever, right? So that is one of the classics. That's the like go to the boat moment for me and Ben, around that one. The other one I will go just random was, I think it was like one of the origins we went to, Ty, either 2010 or 2011. We knew Pat Rothfuss was going to be there kind of before he was Pat Rothfuss. And we kind of had this thing like, who's the first person that's going to find him?
Get a
And again,
selfie with Pat Rothfuss.
Yeah, and it was just so funny. Like I saw him one thing, and I literally like run down and like Pat and get a selfie with him. Very nice, whatever. And it was funny. Like I met him afterward, but there's nothing like that moment. It was just kind of more of the innocence.
Dude, that's so funny. Like
Yeah.
I was preparing for how I'm answering, and the Rothfuss scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
At Origins is one of them.
Yeah, because again, that just comes back, right? It's just one of those like, well, you never think it's never gonna happen, right? And something again like that. And then kind of the overall like Adepticon, I can't pick one. There's so many different connections we've made there, people we've met, whether it's Terrace and I go back and we talk about how we met at kind of a random combat patrol, getting all the different people that have played and kind of the Space Hulk, and we've gotten to know over the years, and that, and and maybe I should, and then I can draw, we're drawing parallels again, throwing back, right? Raph and I ended up playing a random game at Gen Con, and that was kind of started like how we've made that connection for the friendship that we had there. So I Adepticon's fun, but there's been a couple other times of that, but there's just so many at Adepticon, it's hard to talk about around some of that stuff too. So, and then maybe I'm gonna go to you, Josh, because you maybe think about it. There is something about, and maybe it's because I was a virgin, right? Is kind of one of those first true dungeons where it was like all we had, the whole group. It was kind of all us, kind of just to experience. I had not experienced True Dungeon to go through it. Again, I don't know that I don't need to do it much again, right? But there's something about just that it was all like the group that we all got to go through and do that. Like, it was pretty cool. All right. Now it's up to you, Ty.
Yeah. Man. So there's something about the spectacle of walking into the exhibition hall at Gen Con, like your first time walking into that press of flesh of humanity, all of the commerce and signs and the overwhelming noise, like it is just a sensory shock. Like and I don't remember Milwaukee giving me that feeling, but like the first time walking into the exhibition floor at in Indy was really where I felt that. And then similarly at Essen, the first time you walk in to the halls in Essen at Spiel, you get a very similar, like just overwhelming, how many people, how many things, like, so there's kind of that for the big shows, right? There are plenty of gaming moments. Like I think to this day, some of my favorite RPGs have been the games we've gotten in, Josh, with Ivan Van Norman's Outbreak Undead games. Just incredible, like storytelling and fun, relatable guy. Like obviously not like our friend, but we'd see him, a couple times in a row, and he'd always stick around and talk and hang out. There's I met Steve Herner, who's become just a very dear friend in a first round game at Adepticon. Met the IC guys playing Space Hulk, like just some of the people, to your point, hanging out, getting to know Brian Nero and Will, like, and Valate, and that journey, doing shows for them, demoing, frontline, the people you get to meet just doing that, like working a booth is awesome. I know I'm missing a couple really, really great ones too, like doing panels. I don't do them often, but like hearing Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford talk about D&D 5e before 5e came out at in Gamehole in a room of 80 people, like was incredible. One, it might have been 2013, maybe it was 2012. I saw this Roll20 virtual tabletop panel before I'd even signed up, or 2011 at Gen Con, and did a Roll20 panel and learned about the product, and like signed up for my pro membership shortly thereafter. And I've done that for like 12 years now. Yeah, I mean, just some really cool stuff. Some Pat Rothfuss panels. Yeah, a lot of things that you can't do outside of the convention, right? Like, we can play games whenever we want. We can run RPGs. Troy, I do the one I also might have been Origins where this happened. We did I think it was Dark Heresy game, and we had the socially awkward psyker.
Oh.
And I don't know if you remember how terrifying that was, to have the most powerful character in the hands of the most, I don't know how to describe them, inept at human connection individual I think we've ever played a game with. And it was always, then from then on, it's been keep the most powerful wizard and psyker out of the hands of someone else, and one of us take it, so we know like,
even if we don't
that
want, like,
power
I don't
is
want that
wielded
character,
in a safe hand, like
one of the it's one of the tips we should, when we're pulling together our convention tips, that one needs to go in there, because I think we've just embodied that one now. But we need to like warn others. That's a good
I mean, finding out at 11:30 that the Chaos Spawn were left in Waukesha, and the painting, I talked about it already, like that painting adventure with Matt and Josh is something I hope to never repeat, and I don't think it could be repeated. But that was a truly awesome, just go to the bits guy, buy models and paint them until our eyes were bleeding and we had to get up in 4 hours to go play Warhammer.
So fun.
Yeah. So lots just of really awesome experiences, games, moments. If you add AOS tournaments into it, like, there's so many more friends, and people eating dice and falling asleep under tables and drinking bottles of whiskey in round one. Like, it's endless if you include that. All right. So board games, role-playing games, miniature games, like, obviously these are all gaming conventions, and they're all things that we really enjoy. But why are conventions so cool? What draws you to going to a place with 50,000 other people to do that thing that you could do at your friendly local game store, that you could do at your friend's gaming table? You can go buy the games, you can do this stuff. Why pay the money? Why stress out about the travel plans and the getting hotels and all that stuff? Why do that? What is it? And I think we've answered this.
We've been making that case kind of around, right? But this is this is your closing arguments, and or that Josh wants stars again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like everybody going to the same location, all like-minded people, wanting to do similar things at the same time, right? Like, it's that setting aside time to do the things that you really enjoy doing, and having other people there to do those same things, right? If you're gonna like kind of boil it down to one little nugget, that's pretty much it for me. And then having all your friends there to do it too.
Yeah, I'll share, and then Troy, you can bring it home. But I think a lot of times, right, when you talk about mob mentality and the human like element, I think you can see the bad and the negative of when that happens. But I think there's also a power in a crowd coming together, be it cheering for a home team, be it celebrating uh a big event, a holiday. And that's ultimately what these conventions are. They become celebrations and gatherings of lots of people focused on the positive energy about that thing that you all love. And it's not just the one thing, right? It's all of the different games, all the different publishers, authors, artists, that come together. But it is that collective, and it's that you don't have a bigger community around gaming than when you attend a Gen Con or an Origins or an Adepticon. Troy, bring it home. Why conventions?
And we've been making the case. Like there's a lot of right, a lot of reasons. And like Josh, you kind of taught, like a lot of it is your friends, you're doing stuff there. There's also so many, like we've touched on, so many things that can only happen in those kind of places, and that's what's kind of cool. There is something about experiencing some of these things with your friends and whatever. It's been, again, interesting this year, like taking Sarah with me. Like I've been going to Gen Con I was trying to do math, like 35, I've gone 35 times over the last 40 some years. But this year it was fun to see it through her eyes, like brand new, seeing some of that spectacle made it, fresh and the same. Like we did some of the same things. I know some of that, but that was kind of cool, right? To get to experience some of that through her. And the big ones are really, yeah, I think the big ones, it's that spectacle. It's why do you go there? Because there's only things that you can do there. And I think we've mentioned that when we give things like when you're going to these, how do you get your bang for your buck? Do those things that are only possible at there, right? If you're going to go there and play with the games with your friends in your room, then you're probably not getting your bang for your buck, right? You're not getting that experience around that. But then there's the other side. I think, Ty, I loved when you talked about the panels. Like when you go to like there's some of these really cool moments we had at the smaller conventions, and even when I look back at Adepticon as it's grown over the years and as it's changed from that small local convention to now being the massive, international
Worldwide.
convention.
Yeah.
Right. It changed, but I mean the early times it was kind of more of the game hole stuff where I remember you made me think. I don't want to just drop names, but I remember like having a conversation with Graham McNeil because everybody went to the play in the 40K tournament and he was standing by himself in the little vendor room, which had like, back in the day, there was like half a dozen vendors. And whenever it was playing the tournament rounds, no one was in there, right? And so there's Graham McNeil standing by himself with not by himself, but literally there's nobody there. And you got to sat and chat with him, right? For that, around some of that. And even, back in the day, I have Dan Abnett. Like I've signed books from Dan, right? When he came to Adepticon, and remember going to panels where he came and talked and with 25 people in the room, right? And some of that,
a couple of those Black Library panels and stuff where
there's some of that. So again, it's that stuff that only can happen at conventions. And then the other half of that again I love and embrace and makes different is run what you want to play. That was always that was kind of back in the 90s when we were going, and we're like, all right, we're not finding the games maybe that we want. You know what? It's time for us to run them. And that's kind of got where we got with Space Hulk, and now we do it like you talked, Josh, with Zombicide and whatever. I get there's such an adrenaline rush and this little bit of the endorphin from entertaining other people, seeing other people joy for this thing that you've helped create around some of that stuff too. And so that's another another outlet for that piece and getting to meet more people. So I don't know if I have a punchline to finish it off, but it's like many different reasons why we do it.
So I do, to end it on a bit of levity. Troy, you weren't there for this, but Josh, I'm a little disappointed this didn't make like honorable mention of your favorite moments of Gen Con or conventions. But there was a night, it was very late. We had been at a patio drinking whiskey flights and pitchers of beer, and we walked through the convention center on our way back to the JW Marriott, and there was a hallway full of people enjoying what they enjoy, playing games that they love, social deduction games called Werewolf.
Mhm.
And this guy we were with, Josh, it was like our third friend. I don't remember. It wasn't Troy, it was somebody else. Had clearly had far too much to drink and was heckling the werewolf players, accusing random strangers of being the werewolf, interrupting their games as they walked through the hall where 5 or 6 of these large groups were gathered playing the game. But it was hysterically funny and truly a moment that I will never forget.
Yep. That definitely should have made my list. I completely forgot about that. Yep. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why e-convention.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to yuck people's yum. Just
Yep.
try to do things other than werewolf, and all will be well in the world.
Yep. No, that's good. That's good. I did thought you might go to that the only thing you can get at you're getting hot box pizza at Gen Con.
Troy,
Right, is
that's
also-
2 things now that I left off my list that you have covered. Thank you, because
Yeah.
that was one of the most memorable things about Gen Con ever, is the pizza that did not arrive.
Did not arrive.
And
that
Josh's struggle to
torture,
communicate with
yeah.
the restaurant and the drivers and the managers and to get the charge reversed. And
yeah, we should not revel in someone else's pain,
wow.
but man,
It took like a week to get my money back.
My Discord avatar to this day is Ned Stark saying Hotbox is coming. Like, man, wow, Hotbox pizza.
Yeah, they never delivered.
Goodness gracious. How do we top these things? How do we, like,
We
you
go
know
to
how
more
we do it?
conventions.
Yeah, we go to more conventions.
Yep,
Let's talk about
yep.
what's coming up. So, local, small, questionable philosophy behind it. Strong Tower Con, Waukesha, 2 weeks from now. Limited to 450 people. Don't know if there's tickets left. I'd imagine there has to be, at the Marriott. Board game convention, couple days, play some games, do some stuff if you want.
Yep.
Coming up soon, because we're getting towards the end of summer, entering into fall, is Gamehole Con. Very excited. Start making plans for that. See, are you guys running stuff at Gamehole?
We are running stuff. It is confirmed as of like 2 days ago.
Yep. That's the end. Now I need you guys to get Alex on our show before Gamehole Con. He needs to be our
he's like
September guest.
Don't people know him? Don't we might know people that know him, right?
Yeah, Elena for sure knows him.
Yeah, we might be able to. Yep.
But let's try to get Alex on the show. Let's talk Gamehole Con. Let's do a September Gamehole Con episode.
I think he's going to be like.
He's probably very busy.
Very busy trying to actually make the convention actually.
Sure, but we're very important. We have 55 YouTube subscribers. Doesn't get bigger than that on YouTube.
Yeah. They're not going to know what hit them when they see our games, though. That's what. There's nothing like the Basement of Death running games at Gamehole Con, though. So
no, nothing like it.
See, we'll get him afterward because he'll be so impressed by what we did.
There you go, the recap show. Dragonfall, Lake Geneva now, I think.
Yep.
Miniature gaming for charity, pretty cool stuff. Not on the same weekend as Gamehole, I believe they've decided to fall back a week or
first weekend in October. I don't have the dates for Gamehole. Gamehole is. Are they out of order? They may be out of order. I'm trying to think. Is Gamehole after? Gamehole might be after.
Yeah.
Dragonfall. Yep.
I know I have the Thursday, Friday off work. I just don't know what Thursday, Friday. Holy Wars, Holy Havoc, November, February, depending on what end of it you go to. But Bryce and I are currently signed up for the one in the fall. Going to try to get our stuff done. We'll see if it happens or if we delay again to another one. But I did order something off Etsy for our display. So big things coming. Now I just got to finish painting the army that's been on hold for 4 years. We did have Brendan confirm, though, our lists are still AOS 4.0 eligible, although mine is now only 930 points rather than 1,000. So, thanks, G-Dub. Midwinter, I think we're going to go all in on doing some stuff at Midwinter. Try to make a weekend of it, hang out, at least play some games, if not run some games. But that would be super fun in Waukesha.
Early January.
Early January. Hopefully there's no blizzard and severe cold and power outage this year. But Paul will be doing a lot with his new RPG there. I think I'm going to help him and run a couple sessions. I haven't run a convention game in quite a long time, but I'm going to lend my storytelling ways to that. So make the trip, get in my game, have fun. I won't kill you much. Then Adepticon not returns, but comes to Milwaukee, filling the void left by Gen Con at the new revamped and expanded convention center, the Baird Center in downtown. Big things coming for Basement of Death, Playin and Slayin, Space Hulk. We're making moves.
It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. A little bit of work, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Little bit of work, he says. Yep. Little bit of work.
A lot of fun.
So that's it. Leave us a review. Hit us up. Talk to us. Who do you want us to talk to? Send your friends our way to talk about games and content and miniatures and sushi. I'll talk about sushi. I'll talk about steak. Wine. I did a wine tasting. I can talk to you about Mexican and Argentinian wines now. But come talk to us. Twitter @Playin Slayin Show. Website basementofdeath.com or playinandslayin.com.
Yep. Look for us on YouTube,
Instagrams, subscribe, do the things in the corners, leave the comments with the keyboards or voice to text, whatever you want to do. We're here for you and we're here for it. And that's a wrap on episode 82. Keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying.